Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Haul out the holly.
Put the tree before my spirit falls again. Fill up the stocking. I may be rushing things, but deck the halls again now. For we need a little Christmas like this very. I am so excited. Christmas, birthday's on Monday. Last show of the year. I am so pumped. A lot of stuff to squeeze into today. Hope you guys are doing well. You know what? It's needed. It's been a long year, and it feels like we're on repeat again. It feels like we're on repeat yet again because we've got this nightmare that is the Omicron, which the nightmare itself doesn't seem to be the actual virus. And the way apparently the virus works, it's 70 times easily catchable comparatively. So 70 times easier to spread. And it's so unlike the Delta virus. So let's break this down. Keep it simple, stupid, as we like to say. That goes into your lungs. That's where the issues happen. This goes into essentially your breathing passage, right? And then it replicates there at 70 times. It's very slow growing inside of the lungs, hence the reason why it's probably not as dangerous. But as excited as people are getting about Christmas, the reality is you got to look around, and we've got a lot of people who are still unvaccinated, and the vaccine works the best. Masks are, for all intents and purposes, if you had the right mask and you were able to change them out all the time and you were able to wear them correctly, are they efficient? Yes. Are the masks that we wear right now anything more than hygiene kabuki theater? No. That's all it is. That's all it is. So what you have is you've got a perfect storm. You know, there's that. You got a perfect storm. You got a perfect storm. This Omicron is the perfect storm.
We're at a perfect storm scenario. That is, we have the holidays around the corner. We're indoors. We have an infectious Delta virus that's out there, and then we have the onset of Omicron. So all that comes together.
Yeah, and they're worried that this thing may join together, join forces, and become even deadlier. What works? Vaccines. And again, the vaccines aren't perfect. What they are good at doing is keeping you healthy. What they're really not going to be able to do at this point in time is probably stop you from getting it. That's just the reality of it. If you're out and about and you're doing enough, at some point in time, you're going to become exposed to it. This will mitigate it. They're saying up to 40 or 50% of the people that are catching this, they don't even know they have. They're asymptomatic. Oh, yeah. So they're asymptomatic, and that includes vaccinated, unvaccinated. Here's the other thing. We're still unhealthy. We're in a healthy nation, and that's also playing a part into all of this madness. And the CDC's come out with their usual dire diagnosis.
Yes, Omicron symptoms seem less serious for many, especially for the vaccinated. But so many people haven't gotten any shot, and many of them will get very sick. The CDC projects American deaths could skyrocket 71% to 15,000 per week by the second week of January.
Is that a possibility? Yeah. Is it likely? I don't know. But the reality is this is it. This is the new thing that's going to spread. And in some ways, that's good. Because if it is less mild, the more that we're exposed to it, whether you're vaccinated or not vaccinated, the better it's going to be in us achieving a certain amount of immunity throughout the population, which is a good thing. Again, we're never getting rid of this. I don't know how many times I have to express that to people. Somebody yesterday got so mad at me about masking up, right? Like that's the big, you're masking up. You got to mask up. We're going to do a mass story here in a little bit, but the reality is don't let it spoil your fun. Get out there, have fun this Christmas, enjoy yourself, and like everything else, just be, if you're worried, if you've got somebody at home. And by the way, I used to do this with my grandmother. My grandmother was she was a brittle diabetic. She was the fittest woman, but no matter what they did for her, from the time she was a child till her passing, she They couldn't control it. And a brittle diabetic is a person where you can do everything correctly when it comes to your diabetes, the way you eat, exercise, and everything. You can go to bed at night, and by 2 a.m, your blood sugar could have gone from 100 down to 40 or up to 500. I mean, it was that bad with her, no matter what she did. But when there was bad flu seasons, I didn't visit her because there was a worry, especially as she got older. You should be smart. It's not hard to be smart. It's not. It's not hard to use common sense. There was an article out the other day that the average Joe and Jane, the average person, comparatively to rocket scientists and brain surgeons. So rocket engineers, brain surgeons, neurosurgeons, and people who send stuff to space are no more intelligent than the average person. What's lacking in 99% of these studies is common sense. Use a little common sense, you find out what happens. All that being said, people are still shopping. If you're like me, you're waiting somewhat to the last minute. Although the problem this year with my kids, and I told them this, I was telling my stepdaughter Lily last night. I said, Lily, I'm still waiting. What do you want? Because her birthday just passed. And she's like, oh yeah. And I'm like, because we kind of spoiled her a little bit on the birthday. We kind of do that stuff. And, it always makes me laugh. It's like, you gotta, Santa needs the stuff, right? I know what you wrote Santa some stuff, but, you give mom and dad something different. Still sometimes an opportunities available, but like I'm looking today because I got a couple things I've got to get jacked that were on back order. I got an email from one of them today, and I was super bummed because it was like, look, this isn't going to get here till this day. And I'm like, oh, man, no way. Got to do some stuff. Let me give you some little tips here with my buddies.
So shipping guarantee by dates vary a lot across retailers. So it's really important when you're shopping to look at the retailer's website and see if it's guaranteeing gifts at a guaranteed certain time.
Yeah. And one of the things that's interesting is even some of these things that I've been guaranteed, they're telling me now, this is where the supply chain comes in. Yes, we guarantee the delivery by this date, but guess what? Even though you paid for it, we were expecting other shipments to come in. They won't be coming in. So there's a lot of issues there. This is the last weekend. Get out and shop. And we are shopping. And just because you hear the chaos and the craziness of all the stuff that's going out there with Omicron and all this other stuff, take a deep breath, realize it is what it is. Use common sense. Use common sense. I'm just waiting for the insanity to continue to ensue. I'm waiting. What I was telling my my buddy out in Cali last night. He and I were going back and forth because he was talking about. Did you hear anything about these threats on Tik Tok and stuff about shooting up the schools? And I said, yeah, a little bit, and we'll touch on that in a second. But I said to him, his wife's a teacher, and I said, are they worried that they're going to pull a switcheroo during the season, if you will? So many kids are getting out of school today. It's their last day of school till the first of the year. And some kids will get out later on next week, but then you'll have the 2 weeks off or so. And some schools around the country, their potential of coming back is what they're worried about. And I'm like, yeah, mostly in blue states. Let's be 100% honest. Mostly with places with very strong unions. Also, again, let's be 100% honest that they're worried that they're going to kick. And he said, yeah. He goes, she told me that they think they may tell them they've got to stay home for another week or two. And I'm like, But can you understand this? This is somebody right here. I want you guys to listen to this. This is a lady who's on the school board out in Los Angeles. And this is a perfect example of the overreach, bureaucracy, and insanity that goes on in these places based on very little science, mostly anger and power. Listen to this lady and listen to how she is basically telling everybody, you will do what I say or else.
We are not moving 1 inch from the mandate. I grew up with polio.
By the way, polio, totally different thing. Just want everybody to recognize, totally different thing.
I grew up with polio. I saw classmates of mine die. I saw what would have happened if we had the current environment. We'd still have polio today. People would still be getting polio today. This is very personal. And I want to tell those of you who come and say you think you've pushed us back, no, you didn't. The mandate remains.
Yeah. How angry is she? The mandate remains. Ah, you Luke Skywalker. The mandate remains. That's the fear factor. People talk to me about what's happening. I say, don't worry about what happens with the virus. Worry about how the reaction is to the virus when it comes to your local folk. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Lots of Christmas stuff today. We're going to squeeze as much stuff as we can. Again, last show of the year. We'll be back to start the new year. Fright and Breast. Calibrate. It's not weight loss as you would think it is. You know, it's very interesting. There's a huge study out in the New York Times and several other studies combined over a 12-year period. And it came out over the last couple of days. I was reading yesterday. It was totally fascinating that essentially super exercise, all of these things that people try to do, exercise is great for your health. But the reality is it's genes and your metabolic world that matter more than anything else. In fact, people that still hunt and gather in other parts of the world who run all day, their metabolism was no different than the average person here that just eats a little bit better. Because your body, it's about the genes. That's where Calibrate separates everything. It's a doctor-guided metabolic reset that promotes sustainable changes and results through those lifestyle changes. Simple and easy. Doctor-prescribed, FDA-approved medication, and you'd make small changes in your life, and it goes a long way. One-on-one video coaching, in-app tracking, community members like you, plus medical care, including a video doctor visit. Earliest Calibrate members lost 14% of their body weight on average. That's amazing. Easy to fit in your lifestyle, 100%. They're not going to have you do crazy stuff. What they can do is make small changes, and then they're going to reset your metabolism with medication. So simple. Your weight doesn't reflect your willpower. Get back in control with Calibrate. $50 off your 1-year metabolic reset when you use promo code CHAD at joincalibrate.com. That's $50 off when you use code CHAD at joincalibrate.com. Joincalibrate.com, code CHAD. Chad Benson Show.
I can't take it anymore!
Well, get over it. It's time to forge a new path with your very own political cartographer, Chad.
School boards across the nation working to put parents' minds at ease as an uneasy trend alluding to school shootings and bomb threats has spanned nationwide.
It's a scary time.
The TikTok trend is planned for Friday.
Threats of school violence, somewhat of an uptick.
But troopers say right now there are no credible threats. Joe Stewart sends his son off to Van Junior Senior High School each day. Meanwhile, he's also inside the classroom teaching.
And I hope that collectively as a staff, we're more aggressive about worrying about the mental health of our kids.
Yeah. Is there a credible threat? So far, nothing credible. Nothing that is absolutely specific. But it started popping up over the last couple days on TikTok, which is, again, these kids, a lot of things. They're angry. Some of them are just for, hey, that'll be funny because we'll get the day off of school. And, there's who knows what goes through a young 13, 14, 16, 17-year-old kid's mind. God only knows. But social media is playing a huge part in this, and TikTok in particular.
TikTok says it is working with law enforcement to investigate this threat. It was a message on TikTok suggesting shooting or bombing schools. It was a threat heard at schools and police departments across the country. No one school was named in any of those targets.
Yeah, so how real is this? Well, you know, you don't want to be so cautious to say we're shutting everything down. At the same time, you need to be wary. We just saw something happen in, outside of Detroit at that school at Oxford. We saw what took place with that kid. There were not only credible threats. I mean, outside of pointing the gun at the counselor and saying, I'm getting ready to shoot this thing up, outside of that, I don't know what else there is that you could have said. So I think schools are a little bit more cautious, obviously, but also you have to remember this. Where's it coming from? TikTok. Okay. How real are these, are they bots? Are they meant to disrupt? There's a lot of different things you have to take in. It's not about, it's not just singularly about, are these actual kids doing it? Are there other places? Is Instagram, some rumors there.
There's a rumor that some kid posted a picture of a gun on Instagram. He said he's going to drop a bomb on Walter Reed.
So, again, how real is it? But you heard it. It's a rumor. Yeah, it is. Bananarama heard a rumor once. I heard a rumor. Ooh. This stuff spreads. Kids' minds go wild. But there are signs. So you just take a look around, and this goes back to that thing we talked about earlier. It's this thing called common sense, which lacks in many people the ability to understand that some kids are just being turds, and in a time when everybody's uptight and nervous, other kids are crying out for help and probably won't do it, but are looking for help, and there's some out there that potentially could do something, could twist off at any moment. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. We got crazy stuff coming up. Oh, man. It's the year of the trans, and there's a lot more coming. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Last Christmas, I gave you my heart, but the very next day, you gave it away. This year...
Oh, I love this song. George Michael. He wrote it in his bedroom, his childhood bedroom. It's not even a Christmas song. It's a love song. He wrote, produced, sang the song. It's pretty good. Recorded it in August of '84. Didn't reach number one, though. It's very interesting. It did not reach number one until this year. What? Mm-hmm. Crazy. It's been covered by a ton of other artists. Oh, man. Some people make a concerted effort to avoid hearing Last Christmas. And in his untimely death in 2016, it actually charted again in America. I love the song. Man, his voice, it was just crazy cool. Just crazy cool. You look back, right? Doesn't it kind of do that? You look back, and man, Freddie could have just made it if he'd have caught AIDS like around the time he died. If it had caught HIV, he'd be fine. We'd still have 12 Queen albums. We've been rolling out freaking Adam Lambert and the dude from Bachman Turner Overdrive. Whoever the hell was singing that. Oh, Chad, that's not very nice. It's not very nice. Speaking of music, you guys want to hear a great voice? Remember, get vaccinated or else this might happen more. This is outgoing NIH Director Francis Collin, who I believe is Dr. Fauci's boss.
If you'll indulge me, because it's been kind of promoted as if it might be a grand finale of a musical sort, I'd like to play us out. So, if I might, why, there's a guitar right here. How about that? Somewhere past the pandemic, when we're free, there's a life I remember full of activity.
Oh, God. Make sure. By the way, you're still free to do the stuff you want to do. I'm just letting you guys know that. I'm letting you guys know that you're still free to do stuff. If you feel the need to want to do something, feel free to do something. That's all I'm saying. You'll hear stuff like this.
Hang in there. This will end. We can get through even a winter surge by implementing the countermeasures that we have: vaccinations, boosters, masking in indoor settings, being prudent in caring, for example, about wearing a mask indoors. You can enjoy the holiday season with your family if you're vaccinated and your family members are vaccinated.
If not, stay indoors and hide. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. So the mask thing, which, by the way, I mean, we can do mask work. Of course. The right mask, the right setting, worn properly. So let's go over this. Right mask, right setting, worn properly, fit your face correctly, made all the adjustments. Absolutely, they work. Now, the mask that we wear, you and I, probably not the right mask. We're probably only doing it because a place has asked us to, your work is asking you to. I only wear my mask at work. I don't wear it anywhere else. Everybody in my building, by and large, we're almost 100% vaccinated, if not 100% vaccinated. Half of the people are boosted. But we still put on the hygiene kabuki theater because nobody wears it correctly. It doesn't fit anybody's face. When somebody really wants, and the funny thing is, I don't know if you guys have the same thing. When somebody wants to whisper or talk, they'll pull their mask down and lean in. It's like, okay. This guy, on the other hand, Florida man, if I would have given you one guess, everybody would have done it, right? Man gets thrown off plane for wearing thong underwear to protest mask mandates. And I said, what state does he come from? Any other answer outside of Florida would be foolish.
You can see Jenny's bright red underwear hanging on his face as he gets walked off the plane in the video taken by another passenger. He says he was trying to show why the rule doesn't make sense to him.
There's nothing more absurd than having to wear a mask till I get to cruising altitude so that I can order Tito's by the double and snack on pretzels, and illustrating that absurdity by wearing women's underwear on my face sounds perfect.
I asked the question yesterday. Had he worn a mask and then women's underwear over that, would that have also caused him to be kicked off? Federally, I don't think there's a rule for that. Federally, I don't. I'm looking around going, I don't think there's a rule for that. Just to let you know, the CEO of Southwest, of which he was flying on, said, is it yesterday morning or the day before, in Senate hearings, somebody asked him, "Hey, are we ever going to get masks off on flights?" And he's like, masks don't do anything, right? Our filtration system is 99.96% effective. It cycles through every 2 to 3 minutes. There's really no use to wear a mask. But we go through the charade.
Shortly after Jenny left, other passengers started to speak up.
Kids off for wearing masks.
This man then chose to leave the flight as well.
Forget it. I'm out of here.
Jenny says several passengers ended up getting off the plane to support him.
Thank you to them because they saw something, an injustice, something that didn't make sense, and they stood up.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll say this. If you were to do a test on his underwear that he was wearing on his head, the women's underwear, and a mask, they would probably come out about the same. Compliance, kids.
Afterwards, Jenny received this email from United Airlines saying he's now banned from United flights until his case has been reviewed by the Passenger Incident Review Committee. Jenny says he still feels like he was in the right.
Your rights end where mine begin, and you don't get to tell me how I conduct myself.
Well, they can on their plane. They absolutely can. That's the one thing they can do on the plane. The question isn't whether or not that your rights. The question is it based in actual scientific, real data? And then, people yesterday hitting me up, Chad, you're a buffoon, mask work. And I said to him, no, they don't. Yes, in the right setting, like I said, they absolutely work. You can't deny that. But how many of you are washing your mask once a day, hanging it up, have several masks, changing them out? You've got the N95s. How many of you really, really doing that? I would say at best 10%. At best. Let's be real. But when you've got panic porn like this.
This is Don Lemon tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. Look, I don't blame you if you feel like Scrooge and the Grinch right now. News on the COVID-19 pandemic getting worse by the day as the holiday season hits full effect right now. I almost forgot to take my mask off to start the show. They had to remind me, you have your mask on. Well, as we have seen time and time again, COVID is not done with us. Cases surging, about 120,000 new cases per day. Let me say that again.
Severe illness and death.
A winter of severe illness and death.
But I thought it was supposed to be fixed. We had all the stuff. We got the boosters. We're working on our 58th, 60th, 100th shot. Did you see that guy this week who got 10 shots in one day? People are like he's crazy. I said, I don't think he's crazy. I think what he's trying to do is people were paying him to get a shot. So they didn't have to, so they could avoid it. What are his antibodies like? He needs another shot, actually. It didn't work with him.
We have learned nothing in the nearly 2 years that we've been dealing with this pandemic.
We've learned plenty.
We learned nothing? It was exactly 1 year ago that the first person in the United States, a nurse in New York, received the COVID vaccine outside of a clinical trial. Now, a full year later, 800,000 Americans are dead from COVID. Again, have we learned nothing?
By the way,
still millions of eligible Americans refusing to get vaccinated.
Yeah. Which should be their choice. They're refusing to get vaccinated. That's their choice. If they get sick and die, they've recognized that there's something there. That is a thing that they're willing to do, and they feel fine with it. So shutting everything down, freaking out, losing our mind, having people wear underwear on their head because they think it's something that they're going to, they want to prove a point. All of this stuff is stupid. Have we learned anything? Yes. Panic porn works for you guys, sucks for us. Nobody's listening anymore. We're still worried about the fact that they're going to raise rates 3 times next year because they think they can control it, much like people think they can control this. You think you can control the economy, the hubris and all of this stuff in something that nature, as we say it all the time, will mess you up, whether it's financial nature or Mother Nature.
Wear a mask indoors. I mean, have we learned nothing? It's the only thing we're going to do to get control of COVID. And remember, We can expect more and possibly more dangerous variants to follow Delta and Omicron, right? Because it's still out there, because people won't get vaccinated. Have we learned nothing? It's just a vicious cycle. Again, have we learned nothing?
We've learned plenty, you buffoon. He's an idiot. Sorry. Stop with it. Nobody's listening anymore. Their listening is common sense. That should have been. The minute this thing came out, they said, guys, we're going to use some common sense. We're going to come up with a vaccine. It's going to get ugly for a while, and it's going to get bumpy. But once we come up with this vaccine, it's not going to be 100%, but it will keep you safe. At the end of the day, it's about surviving. Can't stop you from getting sick from everything. And if you think that the goal is to get to zero, you're fooling yourself. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. I love this. Elon Musk, he's been fighting with what's her name? Liawatha, the pretendian, Senator Karen, Elizabeth Warren. She tweeted out the other day, let's change the rigged tax code so the person here will actually pay taxes and stop freeloading off everyone else. He tweeted yesterday. Are you ready for this? He tweeted yesterday, he's going to pay $10 billion in taxes, it looks like. He goes, I've paid more taxes than anyone else in history. It's still not enough. My Pillow is enough. Still time to get great deals. This is how you do it. Go to mypillow.com, promo code Benson. When you do, boom, save big right there. Save big. Deep discounts on the MyPillow, mattress topper, Giza Dream Sheets, everything you could think of, and then some. So many discounts. Huge. 60% off, 60% off on some things, including, I think, the MyPillow. It's the lowest price it's ever been. 6-day money-back guarantee, 10-year warranty, the biggest, deepest discounts. The slippers. They've got cardigans. They've got the best sheets around. You name it, they've got it. Get the discounts. Take advantage of it. Zero issues with shipping. No delays. Hurry, though, because you want to make sure you get it there before Christmas. MyPillow.com. Use that promo code Benson to save big. MyPillow.com. Promo code Benson. MyPillow.com. Promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
I'm exhausted.
If you're part of the politically exhausted majority, don't fear. Your time to be validated and rejuvenated is here. Wake up. It's the Chad Benson Show.
They've changed the requirements for a player who tests positive. As long as we're talking about vaccinated players only. No change in the rules for unvaccinated. Vaccinated players only. If you are vaccinated, you're not showing symptoms, and you tested positive, it has now become easier for you to, quote unquote, test back in. Right? They're using different kinds of tests and applying different standards. And the key thing for people to understand is what they've changed. It's not a binary, are you positive, are you negative? It's how contagious are you?
There's a lot of issues in the NFL. There's a lot of issues. So I'll let you guys know that. NFL's got some issues, kids. I'm going to give you my rundown of my picks. Chargers lost last night. I got the Browns, but that's going to be a disaster. I'm thinking I'm going to go Raiders on that one. So I had picked the Browns up until the fact that, they're looking for Uncle. Hey, do you think Uncle Rico is still in good shape? Play some football? Right? Case Keenum's like, man, I got to start. They're like, oh, you got COVID too. Colts, Titans, Bills, Eagles, Jags. Got the boys, the Cards, the Dolphins, the Bengals, the 49ers, Rams, Packers, Bucks, Bears this weekend. But this is like the Rams. Maybe. Do they play? They got 19 people on the COVID list. The roster is 53 people, right? That's your roster, and you can dress a certain amount. But they expanded it last year because of COVID. Do they have enough? I don't know. It'll be interesting. It can be interesting to find out. That game last night was great, but man, that horrible situation with the tight end for the Chargers, Parnham, who he was out like a light. This is Brandon Staley.
Anytime you see that live and you're close to it, it impacts you. But then at the same time, we're trying to play for him the rest of the way. And that's what our guys did tonight. They laid it on the line and played a whale of a game for him.
Yeah. And his head hit the back. And so many times when there's a really bad concussion in anything, it's not the initial coming together or something like that. It's when the person falls and their back of their head usually hits the concrete or something like that. And I will tell you this, one of the players ran over immediately, right, like to try to get him up, and he could see he was out. His eyes were closed, his mouth was open, and he tried to grab his arm, and it was like he was rigor mortis. He was just, and they knew something was bad, and they were taking him out. He was strapped to the gurney, and his arms were still up in the air, and he was shaking. And then Joe Buck's like, maybe he's cold. What? Like, what? Wow. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. By the way, just to let you say something, it's supposedly this whole Spider-Man thing is going to fix the box office nightmare. I do not believe that to be true. I still think it'll do great. But to think that this movie alone is going to really help movie theaters, yeah, not so much. I might see it, though, but it looks kind of confusing. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet, text, Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Merry Christmas. How excited are you guys? Like me? I was watching Christmas movies yesterday, pretty much every day for the last month. Can't stop it. I watch my, you guys know this, I watch my little Hallmark stuff. This is what I figured out. Here's my cheat sheet for the Hallmark. Watch the first thing to the commercial, the first opening 10 to 12 minutes, then come back from the last commercial set to that, and you've got exactly what you're looking for. Everything else in between is just filler. That's not very nice, Chad. I'm just saying. When I do it, you watch, kids. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome when I do it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. More fun Christmas stuff throughout the day. Shopping. We're spending money. Make sure you check and see if stuff can be sent to you. I've already had that mistake, but here's where here's where the issue comes, and I found that out. Where I ordered something for Jack, in actual plenty of time. The problem was, the thought that they had was, hey, we'll have this to send it out. So don't worry. But the supply chain, one of Jack's presents is probably floating in the port of Long Beach as we speak. I'm like, that's possible. So still plenty of time. But the last weekend, one of the other things they were talking about is the fact that more and more people are going to stores in the second half of this chaotic, bizarre Christmas season, where Black Friday really wasn't as big of a deal as Cyber Monday. But now, even if it says you might be able to get it, people aren't trusting that. So they're going to the stores going, well, maybe it's not exactly 100% what I want, but the reality is it's in front of me. So I'm going to grab it and go with it. Oh, yeah, crazy, right? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Insanity is everywhere when it comes to this past year, in particular in the woke world, as we look back to some of this craziness. And one of the big things is the trans situation. What situation is that? Well, a lot of kids are trans. It's apparently it's a big thing. It's a big, it's a big thing. Kids, everybody, like 1 in, I don't know, was it 1 in 3 kids or 4 millennials, something like that, now identify as LGBTQ, and all of the letters, all of the things. And of course, trans has become big. But the issue, and this is where we've had enough issues in schools with masking and stuff. I want you to listen to this. This is a mom from Salinas, California, beyond pissed and every right to be absolutely pissed off. Now, GSA is Gay Straight Alliance. So where, it's a club where, people get together and the whole thought process is, hey, look, you know what? You're gay. That's cool. But it's become much more of an activist scenario. This mom was pissed because, well, not only did her kid join the Gay Straight Alliance, they started kind of pushing, hey, maybe you're trans. Maybe you're trans. Maybe you're trans. And she's pissed at the teachers, rightly so.
Miss Caldera, you're guilty. Miss Baraki, you're guilty. You changed her personal documentation, her gender, her name, her email. Your job was to educate my child in math, science, English, etc. Do your job and let me do mine.
Ooh. Yeah, every right to be pissed.
Her medical record says a birth name, and you changed it. Who administers that now? Not everything, not me. You guys did this on your own accountability, and you've gone too far.
100%. My friends here in Arizona, they don't understand what California is like and some of the insanity, not just about the crime, not just about the lunacy that goes on there with the high taxes, but in the schools and the indoctrination. And it's very interesting. Abigail Schreier, who we've had on our show on several occasions, who's kind of been thrust into writing about this because she didn't really want to, but she wrote, I thought, a very interesting book, to say the least, a great read about what's going on in the world of these young kids who are coming trans, that what's the aftermath, but how schools have played a huge part in this. But in certain places, especially large places like LA, California, New York, San Francisco, how it's encouraged. And she's got some interesting stuff coming out about just some crazy phone calls, audio, just nuts about what they're doing and some of the stuff they're pushing to kids. Right. And I'm sorry, that's not your job. Your job is to teach. Your job is to go and teach. You have no other job than that. Zero, zilch, nada. It's not your job to be the parent. It's not your job to circumvent the parent and what they want or what they think is right for a child that they spend all their time with raising. That's not your gig.
They downgraded me in front of my child and allowed me to question myself as a mother. You sat there and told me how my child was going to be. And then you wrapped your hands around her while I sat across the table and cried. Because you thought you could be there better than I, and I never got a chance.
Yeah. Insane. She's pissed. Every right to be.
You allowed these teachers to open their classrooms teaching predatorial information to a young child, a mindful child that doesn't even know how to comprehend it all. I will stand here today and protect my child along with every other child who has not come forward yet. Do they have psychiatry degrees that I was unaware of? Because I didn't hire them. Okay, I did not hire them to sit there and nitpick my child's brain. You took away my ability to parent my child, even before I had any knowledge. I didn't even get to show support. You asked for support, I didn't get a chance.
Yeah. Yeah. And even if you may support your child, The fact that they're doing this behind their parents' back is scary. But this is the world that we live in. We were talking about that trans swimmer, right? Leah Thomas or whatever out there at Penn, and now parents are standing up and they're writing letters and people saying it's transphobic. It's not transphobic. It's so funny. I read this article yesterday, and this is the insanity of which we live now, because I'm hoping 2022 brings us some sanity. One of them says they use transphobic wording like she smashed records. She did. She won run race by 38 seconds. 38 seconds. 38 seconds. Oh, you're transphobic. It's nuts. And don't think there's not this insanity going on elsewhere. It starts in the schools, in the higher education side of things. Here's some college students, right? This is a Zoom call talking about a trans revolution.
Trans liberation calls for communist revolution.
Okay, the dominant, say, liberal bourgeois reframing of trans liberation as trans rights and recognitions, kind of say based in the supposedly successful pattern of, say, gay liberation, that not only is this insufficient, but that pouring our energy into this thing is actually not going to get us what we want or what we need.
Okay, so what is exactly you're looking for?
This kind of economic transformation that would be a kind of communist horizon, right? A world in which everyone has what they need. So why does this immediately matter to trans people? Well, what do trans people in our particularity have to say that expands the universalism of a communist society, right? Which is to say, one that would be achieved through processes and events that we could call revolutionary.
Oh, so you're going to have a transfer. By the way, how exactly are you having this transfer? I would like to know for myself. Are you guys taking to the streets and gals? Taking to the streets in tens of tens and hundreds? And you're going to have some sort of revolution where? Where exactly is this going down? Right? Just out of curiosity.
That when we demand society be rearranged in certain ways, this is a part of the project. It require the abolition of society as it currently is.
Oh my goodness. That's the insanity that's out there. Sorry. You're insane. Right? I don't care. Live your life however you want to. If you're thinking about the revolution, you're going to have a trans revolution and bring about communism because somehow all of this is going to be wonderful. Do you think in China right now, which, by the way, the last time I checked, anyone, communist. You think this is something they're getting on board with? Think President Xi? No. You know what they're doing? If you're effeminate and you're a male, you're not on television. But you do you. But we're going to abolish society because we demand something. Good God. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. I couldn't even imagine. Who are these people wandering towards us? I don't know. But they've come and they're really angry. And they're dressed to bedazzle. Jerk. Omaha Steaks, baby. Amazing. Amazing. D to delicious. OmahaSteaks.com. Keyword in the search bar at the top. Chad, you're going to save huge. How huge? 50% off, $99.99 for the perfect gift package that includes 24 entrees, the bacon wrap fillets, the chicken breast, jumbo franks, burgers, desserts, sides, all this incredible stuff. But they're also, for using that keyword, Chad, going to throw in 8 Omaha Steak Burgers free. So it takes that 24 to 32, all for under $100. No shipping issues whatsoever. Absolutely the most incredible flavor, incredible value, 100% guaranteed. So if you want to win Christmas this year, and the minute you win Christmas, you celebrate by barbecuing or throwing some steaks on, guess what? It is time to go to omahasteaks.com and use that keyword, Chad, in the search bar to save big. Do it now. Get all of this for under $100 and 8 free Omaha Steak Burgers. omahasteak.com, keyword Chad in the search bar. Chad Benson Show.
Don't let the Washington Beltway strangle you. This is where the exhausted majority comes to refuel, realign, and reevaluate. This is Chad Benson.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending.
What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old intranet. What's trending?
Let's find out what's trending on the old interwebs. Last What's Trending of the year. Let's start over in Twitter, which is always fun because, well, you know, fighting. TikTok. School districts increase security due to TikTok videos warning of school shooting and bomb threats, despite assurances the post aren't deemed credible. Which is very interesting because there is a lot of people out there. But you now have to look at the situation that we're finding ourselves in based after the Oxford incident that took place in Michigan but 2 weeks ago when every sign was there and nobody paid attention to it. Short of pointing the gun at the counselor minutes before he shot the people, there could have been no other thing they could have done, right? Like he had given every sign. Every sign you could think of. United Airlines trending because a man put underwear on his head to show the absurdity of the masking rules. He was promptly brought off the plane. Tim Pool's trending. If you've not seen it, Tim Pool last night got into a heated debate. And it was pretty good. It was pretty damn good. And the funny thing is, Tim points out today, nobody ever shows the thing where afterwards they hugged it out and apologized. Said no. If you've never seen Tim Pool, he's interesting. Head on over to Google. Chiefs last night beat the Chargers in overtime. Great game. Really, really was. Spider-Man No Way Home is out today. Some spoilers are also leaking out. But I'll tell you what, it is it's going to be very interesting to see what kind of business it does. Because, and there's already a fight over, will it be in the streaming verse sooner rather than later? Is Marvel going to hold on to this thing a little bit longer? Sony's battling it because they say it's ours. And Disney's like, nah. So this is the battle that's going on right now. With that, Jeff Garlin of the Goldbergs exits because of HR investigations. What? Yeah, apparently there's some HR investigations. And the Lost City trailer came out yesterday. Sandra Bullock, Channing Tatum, Daniel Radcliffe, Brad Pitt, absolutely looks funny. Does. Big trender yesterday. If you've not seen it, it's called The Lost City. She's a romance novelist. And Channing Tatum is kind of like Fabio. And he's going to go rescue her when she gets kidnapped for real, and it does not go well. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from all of you. Again, the Omicron is out there. That is also trending. And, of course, with the Omicron comes the warnings.
Yes, Omicron symptoms seem less serious for many, especially for the vaccinated. But so many people haven't gotten any shot, and many of them will get very sick. The CDC projects American deaths could skyrocket 71% to 15,000 per week by the second week of January.
Well, I'm just going to tell you guys this. I don't know how sick people are going to get. It seems to be pretty mild, but this is going to be something over the next couple weeks that people are going to be watching out for. Is it possible this thing could be nasty? Yeah, it is. But it seems the shots work if you've got enough of them. So I don't know what the enough is, but I'm sure the CDC will remind us 1,000 times. Coming up, Jim Kennedy, Kennedy Institute of Public Policy Research, join us. Talk about the old smash and grab going on in California. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Grandma got run over by a reindeer walking home from our house Christmas Eve. You can say there's no such thing as Santa, but as for me and Grandpa, we believe she'd been drinking too much eggnog.
Elmo and Patsy. Grandma got run over by a reindeer. What a song. By the way, he's a vet. Still alive. 85 years old. Lives in Novato, California with his wife, Pam Wendell. Dr. Elmo, he also goes by as well. But that was his hit right there. And again, if you're going to have a hit, I don't know how many times Phil and I need to tell you this, you have that hit specifically at Christmas time, because having a big hit, say, I don't know, let's go with Summer. It doesn't really do a lot for you, right? Because it'll play that summer and then maybe next summer once in a great while. Having a giant hit at Christmas, ask Mariah Carey, pays off year after year. Joining us now, though, my buddies and yours, a good friend from California, Jim Kennedy, the Kennedy Institute of Public Policy Research. Jim, good to have you on the program. I want you to take a listen to this. This was the other day. Mayor London Breed of San Francisco.
And it's time that the reign of criminals who are destroying our city, it is time for it to come to an end. And it comes to an end when we take the steps to be more aggressive with law enforcement, more aggressive with the changes in our policies, and less tolerant of all the bullshit that has destroyed our city.
London Breed right there, mayor of San Francisco. All right, Jim, smash and grabs, crazy, wacky DAs from Chesa Bodine to, what's his name in L.A.?
George Gascon.
George Gascon. They've allowed this to happen, and she even said yesterday or the other day, well, some people aren't going to be mad at me about this, but enough's enough kind of scenario. But she also recognized it was their policies that have caused this issue.
Yes, absolutely. She was the same person who stood up there last year after the George Floyd and all the BLM rallies and pulled $120 million out of policing and into alternative programs and alternative enforcement programs. So, what happens? You tell the police you're doing a bad job, you're evil, you're mean, you're a blight on the city, and the crime starts going up because the criminals say, hey, you know what? Doesn't matter. They're not going to arrest me because they're down right now. They don't feel good about their job. They're not going to take the chance of maybe pulling over somebody that may be a suspect because the backlash, if they happen to be a minority or something, isn't worth the risk for their badges. They want to make their retirements. They want to live to see tomorrow. They don't know what's going on in that car. And then even if they do, you're going to get, like you said, Chaz Bowden or George Gascon in L.A., who will decide not to charge them or not any special circumstances to their charges. Like in L.A., we will not be charging anybody with gun charges, which is really funny because the left hates guns, except if it's a criminal carrying one. Then they won't add on the special enhancements because they don't want to possibly put the person in jail for longer because they've been a minority and been poorly treated. So, yeah, they don't really so much acknowledge that their policies are, but they want you to forget that a year ago they were taking money out of the police budgets. And you've got car burglaries up 32% in San Francisco, 27% in Oakland. And I think the murder rate in Oakland is also skyrocketing too. And they're demanding help for that also. So yeah, these policies are what's causing this, but they don't really want you to remember that down the road. And it's not like somebody ever predicted that this would happen when you do this.
Yeah, everybody did. Talking to Jim Kennedy, Kennedy Institute of Public Policy Research. Here's the thing, Jim, and this is why I want everybody across the nation to listen to this. Why this matters is because of Gascon and Bodine. It's not just them. You've got several new chief DAs and prosecutors across the country that have been funded by the Soroses of the world. That's not, everybody knows that. And they're everywhere. We've got one here in Tucson now who has decided that any drug offense will not be prosecuted at this moment because of COVID. And they're working on, all these kind of special, let's get rid of cash bail. This is coming to a town near you, especially if you live in a purple or blue state or city.
No, absolutely. And then the thing too is, she's talking about the crackdown. Rob Bonta, who's the attorney general who replaced Javier Becerra when he went to the Senate from California to replace Kamala. He is the attorney general, very progressive attorney general. And they had a summit in LA earlier this week to talk about all of these smash and grabs in LA that are plaguing us. And somebody brought up, one of the reporters brought up, well, what about, is this, directly related to Prop 47 and 57, which have reduced sentencing and criminal charges, and AB 105, which has let prisoners out early? And he said, oh, no, you don't understand. This isn't related to that. And there's also one of these propositions also reduced anything that you steal under $950 to a misdemeanor, and misdemeanors are basically not arrestable unless the police see them done, which is why they're going into all these Walgreens and all the stores to basically steal stuff that are less than $950. And the problem is that they say, we're going to crack down, we're going to prosecute these people to the fullest extent. Well, let's really see that happen. For example, there was a murder here in Beverly Hills recently of a music executive's wife. She was, I think, 80 something, and a guy broke in and murdered her. The guy was out 2 days later on his own recognizance because we're not bailing people anymore during the pandemic per LA County requirements. The county decided we don't bail people because we don't want criminals to possibly get sick with COVID while they're in jail waiting for their arraignment. So it doesn't matter what you do, you'll be back out on the streets in 2 days. And then also, again, without special enhancements on those things that can add more time. So I really want to see, when they say they're going to crack down on this, what's going to really happen to these people. I'm sure there might be some that they're going to make an example of, and they're going to want the media to follow them through the system, that they really are going to hit a few people with some really harsh felonies for this stuff. But for the most part, my guess is most of these people are going to skate. And the burglars know this. They'll literally laugh at the police. They're brought in. They go, do what you need to do. I'll be out in 12 hours, and I'll be back at work tomorrow, and good luck catching me again.
Talking to Jim Kennedy, Kennedy Institute of Public Policy Research, as we talk about not only California politics, how it affects everybody, but also what's happening around the country. California is losing people. We're seeing that. And the people they are losing, usually people who have money and bring jobs and take jobs. But nationwide, we're heading into 2022. And as we head into this, it is going to be a fight. The Senate and the House both now look kind of like a boat race. And this administration is going to be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. They're desperately seeing the numbers, and the numbers are not looking very good for them. Not to mention Joe Biden's numbers himself are not looking good. But yes, the Democrats on a generic ballot, I believe, are about 6 or 8 points down to Republicans. If you just say, do you want to vote for Republican or Democrat for the 435 congressional seats that are open, plus there's 34 Senate seats that are open, including the 2 in Florida, I believe will go back to another election this year. At least one of them goes back to another election in 2022. So with the House or the Senate being 50-50, that's most definitely up. So very, very, it's quite possible that 12 months from now, we could be looking at a House controlled by the Republicans and a Senate that's controlled by the Republicans with a Democratic White House. And if you think that's going to cause gridlock, well, yeah, you're probably right, because it probably will, because they're not going to get very much through, especially with Manchin and Sinema kind of siding with the Republicans on a lot of these very large spending bills. So yeah, I think the stuff that people are seeing in California, like you said, all across the nation, are scaring them, because they too could be like this if you elect a progressive DA, or if you elect a progressive attorney general, or like you talked about earlier about school boards too. School boards are going to be a very important fight down at the local level. Now they're nonpartisan, but you generally know where the people stand politically. And I don't know how much money there's going to be available, but I'm sure that if George Soros has enough money, he's going to be throwing it at key school boards across the country too, in addition to the DAs and the congressional seats and the Senate seats and the gubernatorial fights too.
It's crazy. Talking to Jim Kennedy, Kennedy Institute of Public Policy Research. As we move forward and you look at, I think people look and see this Omicron, you got the coronavirus, so you got the Omicron, the coronavirus, all this stuff. And people look and say, okay, what states are going to be the first? New York's already, cracking down. California's done it again where, what's it like? And for those people out there who don't live in Los Angeles or California, give us like going into a store nowadays or trying to participate in an event. What the hell's that like?
Oh, it's ridiculous. It work. I mean, I basically the where I work has gone back to in office a couple of days a week, and you have to wear a mask sitting in the office for 6, 8, 10 hours a day. So yeah, that's not any fun. That really, for some people, I have coworkers that get somewhat claustrophobic from it, and they can only work a couple of days in the office because they just can't deal with the mask being on all the time. And I don't blame them for that. Some of us have actually taken to basically camping out in conference rooms because technically if you're in an office, you don't have to have a mask on. So we kind of take the conference rooms over, and then that way we don't have to wear the mask in the offices. But yeah, no, and I don't really know when there hasn't been a time in LA County when we haven't had to wear a mask if you go into a supermarket, into a restaurant, into a store. It was funny. I was down in Orange County a couple weekends ago with a friend, and we went out and we went into a quick service place. And I walked out afterwards. We're like, oh my gosh, I forgot to put my mask on. Are we in trouble? She goes, oh, no, they don't do that down here. If you want to, you can, but there's no requirement. And it was just so rote in LA County that I immediately thought about it, because in LA County, you can't walk in without a mask. I mean, I'm good. That's a rule. I go by it. I'm not a fan of it. I don't like sitting at my desk for 8 hours a day wearing a mask, but you do it. But yeah, I don't know in LA when there hasn't been a time since the pandemic started that we haven't had to wear masks when we go into buildings. It just kind of becomes second nature. I mean, I see people driving around in their cars with masks on, which I think is kind of weird. I don't know if they're going from one errand to another where they're going to have to pop in somewhere or what, or if they're just that well indoctrinated that they just wear a mask everywhere because they've been so scared. But one quick thing, Santa Cruz County has implemented an indoor mask mandate in homes during the holidays if you're with a non-family member. Now, I'm really curious how they're going to enforce that. If you don't think that's coming up on creepy police stuff going run amok, I really want to hear about how they plan to enforce that over the holidays.
Yeah, crazy. Always good to talk to you, man. We'll do it again 2022. You have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Jim Kennedy, Kennedy Institute of Public Policy Research. Follow him at Righty Jim. Thanks so much, Jim.
Thanks, Chad. Merry Christmas to everybody.
Merry Christmas. Yeah. Here's the beauty of the whole enforcement thing. It's always the police who are like, no. Hey, you need to go. No, we don't think so. We're not. How are you going to enforce this law? Well, the police are going to. No, we're not. We decided we're not going to. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. Tweet omahasteaks.com. I keep telling you, win Christmas. Do it big. Do it with Omaha Steaks. Go to omahasteaks.com, keyword Chad in the search bar, start to save big. 24 entrees, bacon wrap fillets, delicious. I ate those immediately. Jumbo franks, incredible. They were gone. And so we had steaks and burgers while we decorated the tree. It was incredible. So nice. Oh, we're loving it. All of our stuff is gone, including the 8 free burgers that you're also going to get when you use code Chad in the search bar. All this is a 50% discount, and you're getting it for $99.99. So think about that. You're saving big. No issues with supply chains. Fresh, incredible taste, incredible flavor, guaranteed 100%. What are you waiting for? Win Christmas, win the holidays, win the spring and the summer. Do it with Omaha Steaks. Go right now to omahasteaks.com. Use the keyword Chad in the search bar to save big. Get those 8 free burgers. omahasteaks.com. Keyword Chad. Chad Benson Show.
No fake outrage here, just the real thing. The Chad Benson Show.
Other holiday traditions, like the Christmas tree, where we go out and we chop down a tree and we put it in our living room. Kind of sounds like the behavior of a drunk man, really. Some woman wakes up, honey, why is there a pine tree in our living room? I like it. We're gonna decorate it for Jesus.
Oh, I love Jim Kennedy. And I love Jim Gaffigan. Put them together. What do you have? You got Jim Kennedy, Gaffigan. Man, tell you what, it goes back to, he's on here talking about what's going on with California, but also across the country, understanding what's happening. That there is a shift right now going on. A shift. People are over the insanity, right? They're over the woke culture. They're over this, let's give everybody they've ever wanted. The other day when you've got the likes of Ilhan Omar and them just pissed at the Biden administration because they're restarting essentially the payment when it comes to the federal payments to the loans on school debt. And people are like, I can't believe it. Like, what did you expect? Again, you decided to go to a school and they offered you a chance to take out a loan to go to said school. You then, in turn, agreed to that. Well, I didn't understand it. You did. What you were hoping for is eventually somebody was going to get rid of this. Again, I would love somebody to do that for my mortgage. I think everybody listening would be like, oh. And the thing that this is when you talk to people who want debt forgiven, a lot of people who've already paid off all their debt, they're like, no, sorry. I'm not getting nothing for that. Not getting a damn thing. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. The NHL, much like the NBA and the NFL, also having issues with COVID.
Now, what the NHL and NHLPA did yesterday was they enhanced their protocols, and they're pretty strict. It's what guys saw all of last season. You can only go from your home to the hotel to the rink, no dining on the road, virtual meetings.
Yeah, that's what they're doing. I guess yesterday, Montreal, no fans now allowed at games. Ottawa's cut their fans in half. This is where we're heading again. Are we going to get to a point where they said the rest of the season is going to be played in a bubble, or no, only Canadian teams can play? I don't think we're going there, but you never know. You never know. The White House is trying to figure stuff out, as they do, because they got to get ready. And when you do that, you have to have a search team.
Colorado, Michigan, New Hampshire, New Mexico, New York, Vermont. We've sent new search teams to a lot of those areas and communities to help address the rises in cases, and we'll continue to assess and do that as well.
Almost to a T. Those are the states that probably have the most vaccines. Vermont, big time. Colorado, but Colorado's governor said, okay, we can't do it anymore. He's like, we can't. We have to live our lives. And then you've seen a surge. Well, that's going to happen. Just because, and we've talked about this, you could stay in your house all you want, but eventually you have to emerge. The monster is not going anywhere. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. I don't know if people get it. I'm assuming they don't. But I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. It's our final show of the year. Tweet at us, text the program. God bless each and every one of you paying attention to a little dog and pony show. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
It's Christmas time. But you knew that, didn't you? It's Christmas time. There's no need to be afraid. At Christmas time. You want to know what privilege is? We do this every year, but it's fun. This is a song that we all know and love at Christmas time. And it's about a famine in Ethiopia. Think about that for a second. Think about that for a second. It's about a famine in Ethiopia. Listen to this. There's no world outside your window, and it's a world of fear. Here's the blunt part. He's the bitter sting of tears. It's the only water flowing. Oh, God. That is privilege. Meet people from Ethiopia. You're like, hey, we did a song for you, so you're welcome. That's just, there's a great few documentaries about, like, what went down. Did any of the money really get there? Some of it did, some of it didn't. Did it cause more hell than havoc? And of course, from that, we've got, we had We Are the World, and then we had the Band-Aid, we had the Live Aid, the whole 9 yards. Boy George, famously, he and Culture Club did a show at Madison Square Garden, and he went to bed at the Plaza Hotel, 3 o'clock in the morning. Bob Geldof called him, who he said he'd never met. He said, where the hell are you? You're supposed to be here. And, don't worry, And they finally had to send him a Concorde to get him home. So, and he said that Boy George said, who's there? And Bob said, every blanking person but you. Oh, my goodness me. Oh, and it's funny because you look back and he goes, what part's before mine? There's like, they listen to it. He goes, is it me and Paul Young? And then he goes, oh, it's, he goes, let me hear it. He goes, oh, that's George Michael. He goes, ooh, that's very camp. And he looks at him and he goes, but he is. And everybody knows it. Of course, a lot of people back then didn't know he was camp, if you will. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. It is Christmas time. It is our final show of the year. We'll look back at some of the wackiness this year, some of the craziness, from where we started with the celebration of the first person getting the COVID vaccine a year ago to here we are now, a year later, and we're talking about something wholly different, which is now the variant Omicron. What is this? What is it? Well, it's another variant. Potentially could be easier to spread. They say up to 70 times easier to spread. And in your air passages, so Delta goes into your lungs and replicates there. This replicates in your air passages, and then it's very slow at replicating, if at all, inside of the lungs, which is probably why it's not as deadly as, say, Delta is. If Delta was to move this fast, that's an issue, even though it spreaded much faster than the original Alpha. And then we'll be on to Pi. Be on a little bit of Pi. But there is warnings.
Yes, Omicron symptoms seem less serious for many, especially for the vaccinated. But so many people haven't gotten any shot, and many of them will get very sick. The CDC projects American deaths could skyrocket 71% to 15,000 per week by the second week of January.
Oh, my God. Is it possible? Of course it is. Anything's possible. What do you do, Dr. Fauci?
Hang in there. This will end. We can get through even a winter surge by implementing the countermeasures that we have. Vaccinations, boosters, masking in indoor settings, being prudent in caring, for example, about wearing a mask indoors. You can enjoy the holiday season with your family if you're vaccinated and your family members are vaccinated.
Yeah. So New York's already getting ready to potentially shut down New Year's Eve. The governor and the mayor has already said that is possible. Right now, Omicron makes up 20% of all cases of COVID in New York and Seattle. The new strain jumped 31% in 24 hours. A million Americans have now been, well, affected by it. Oh, my Lord. I don't know. One person said, and I think it's very simple, we can't stop the spread of COVID, but we can end the pandemic. How? The same thing that we've done in the past. Forget lockdowns. Learn to live with the virus, writes Dr. Jay Bhattacharya of Stanford University. He's a medical professor. I'm sure people are going to call him crazy. I want people to understand that many of the great people who've come up with things that we live with today, who we look back fondly upon, in their time, they were nuts. Just this week, after 16 years of studying Einstein's relativity, in a major study, they were like, he got it right. All these years later, people still thought he was lying, and it wasn't real. I go back to Jonas Salk, who came up with the polio vaccine. In his day, he was called a quack, a kook. He was called a kitchen table scientist. He wasn't taken serious at all. But lo and behold, when we look at polio now. So this professor says, enough. You learn to live with it. Enough. You learn to be around it. Enough. You have to learn to do what we've been saying. You can't end this thing by hiding from it and hoping to do what? Vaccinate your way out of something that you cannot vaccinate away, because it can go from animal to human. And no matter, if we had everybody vaccinated in the country, well, then we'd all be fine. No, we wouldn't, because this variant came from a place where they've got very few vaccinations, which is going to continue to happen over and over and over and over. What they suggest is what we've suggested all along and continue to do so, to end this damn thing in a way that's real, which is you look out there and you say, hey, they're vulnerable. Let's protect them. Everybody go get a shot. You're going to be fine. You're not going to turn into a magnet. You're not going to grow a lizard tail. And you're doing a lot of this, not only protect yourself because you probably think you're in much better shape than you really are. Secondly, because we don't need our hospitals overrun, because we don't need people overreaching. But people they're not going to do that, because your governments are already there. They're already overreaching. They're already in a position where they're talking about shutting things down again. And mark my words, when we come back in the new year, there will be schools, not just colleges, but probably more of those, but elementary schools, middle schools, as well as high schools that will, and districts that'll say, we've extended Christmas break. We're going to do homeschooling for the next couple weeks. And that has not worked well. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet, text, love hearing from every single one of you. Again, this craziness ends when we decide. People say, well, how are we ever going to get out of this? We could sing our way out of it. Maybe. Maybe we could. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the great NIH director, Francis Collins. He's going to be stepping away from his post. He's Fauci's boss, essentially.
If you'll indulge me, because it's been kind of promoted as if it might be a grand finale of a musical sort, I'd like to play us out. So, if I might, why, there's a guitar right here. How about that? Somewhere past the pandemic, when we're free, there's a life I remember, full of activity.
Oh, my God. We should shoot that at the pandemic. See what it does. Oh, there's so much more to it.
Somewhere past the pandemic, masks will come off. No more need for a nose swab every time we cough.
Oh, my God. The more you hear that, the less I listen to what you have to say advice-wise. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. So much stuff still to get to. Again, our final show of the year. We started in COVID with hopes of getting out of COVID. Now, potentially, people are running back into their homes. Places are shutting down and or scaling back again. Are we headed to another insane year? The possibility's real. But again, the way we get out of this is by looking at our leaders and saying, you know what, we're men and women. We're adults and we can make our own decisions. So give us the actual data. Let us do that. Christmas time. It's here. Talk a little bit about shopping. And today on TikTok and Instagram, there are threats to schools. We'll touch on that as well. It's the Chad Benson Show.
You go, boy.
This isn't about right or left. This is just about right and wrong.
Right you are, Chad. The Chad Benson Show.
So shipping guarantee by dates vary a lot across retailers. So it's really important when you're shopping to look at the retailer's website and see if it's guaranteeing gifts at a certain time.
Yeah, got to do that. I'm telling you guys. But even then, remember, we still have issues with the supply chain. So order Jack something, and it'll be here, but it was supposed to be here before Christmas, but it's not going to be here before Christmas. Not because they didn't think it was going to, ordered in time, but because the supply chain down the road was having issues, so they can't guarantee it now, which is frustrating in some ways. But at the end of the day, he's going to come out here the day after Christmas, so maybe it gets here that day or not. But that's some of what's going on, and that's one of the reasons that people are heading back to stores. And this has been a really weird, Black Friday came, and which is normally the biggest shopping day of the year. It was down a little bit. I think it was the first time ever it was down. But we're spending more. Some of that has to do with inflation. But then Cyber Monday came, and it was massive. And when they were doing deals this year, because nobody really had a solid sense of whether or not stuff was going to be available, it was kind of like they were rolling out Black Friday deals while they had them in stock because there wasn't an assurance that things were going to get here. So it's going to be very interesting to see, how happy some kids are this year. I know there's going to be some happy kids and some unhappy kids, but that's always, Chris, is what about travel? People going to be traveling.
You want to make sure to book the earliest flight in the day. You're going to avoid some of those busier crowds, but also you're going to give yourself a chance to have another option if your flight is canceled or delayed. And you want to make sure to download that airline app, have it ready to go, because if there's any issue, you want to make that change very, very fast. It's all about speed when you're talking about rebooking.
Yeah, and that's part of the nightmare that is, right, when it comes to travel, is the getting there early matters now because you might be on a flight later in the day than you thought because the flight you were going to get on didn't have enough pilots. You're like, oh, yeah. Now, where are people headed, sir?
If you're flying, the busiest travel days are expected to be next Thursday and then again on January 2nd as everybody heads home. Adit Damodaran at the travel site Hopper says domestically the biggest destinations are New York, Orlando, L.A., and Vegas. And for those who are leaving the U.S., they aren't going very far this year.
We're still seeing more trips to Mexico and the Caribbean, especially since the Omicron variant news in late November. We have seen a decrease in bookings to Europe.
He says Atlanta, L.A., and Denver are expected to be the busiest U.S. airports over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. Crazy. So Mexico, I could see. And I live close to Mexico because I live here in Arizona. And so I've got a lot of friends and people that go there all the time anyways. And some of them are heading down there for the holidays. Los Angeles, Orlando, Disneyland. Los Angeles, Disneyland and Disney World. I mean, you got Orlando out there. That's because they're already starting to play the games there, and I'm not quite sure what Disney's going to do. That's been one of our frustrations. That was going to be one of the things we did with the kids this year. But now you have to book. You have to buy your ticket, then you have to book a date to go. And that became a hassle. And you're like, ugh, it's crazy. Still long lines. And the whole thing is that they wanted to lessen the crowd inside so everybody wasn't squished together. But here's the reality of it. My friend just got back from there. She took her kids, and she's like, you get inside the damn thing, and you know, they make you put your mask on, but you're all smashed into each other again. And I'm like, I know. I mean, none of the stuff they do anymore is based in science. It's based in, are we checking the box to make sure it's safe? Well, we're checking the box. Is it really safe? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Also this year, as we wrap up our final show of the year, we crowned a world champion, the Atlanta Braves. Hockey, NHL, Tampa Bay. Oh, yeah. Milwaukee got a championship led by the Greek freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo. And that Tom Brady fellow went to the Bucks. And in his first year, got himself another Super Bowl. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Last Christmas, I gave you my heart, but the very next day, you gave it away. This year.
Oh, I love this song. George Michael. He wrote it in his bedroom, his childhood bedroom. It's not even a Christmas song. It's a love song. He wrote, produced, sang the song. It's pretty good. Recorded it in August of '84. Didn't reach number one, though. It's very interesting. It did not reach number one until this year. What? Mm-hmm. Crazy. It's been covered by a ton of other artists. Oh, man. Some people make a concerted effort to avoid hearing Last Christmas. And in his untimely death in 2016, it actually charted again in America. I love the song. Man, his voice, it was just crazy cool. Just crazy cool. You look back, right? Doesn't it kind of do that? You look back and, man, Freddie could have just made it if he'd have caught AIDS like around the time he died. If he'd have caught HIV, he'd be fine. We'd still have 12 Queen albums. We've been rolling out freaking Adam Lambert and the dude from Bachman Turner Overdrive. Whoever the hell was singing that. Oh, Chad, that's not very nice. It's not very nice. Speaking of music, you guys want to hear a great voice? Remember, get vaccinated or else this might happen more. This is outgoing NIH Director Francis Collin, who I believe is Dr. Fauci's boss.
If you'll indulge me, because it's been kind of promoted as if it might be a grand finale of a musical sort, I'd like to play us out. So, if I might, why, there's a guitar right here. How about that? Somewhere past the pandemic, When we're free, there's a life I remember full of activity.
Oh, God. Make sure. By the way, you're still free to do the stuff you want to do. I'm just letting you guys know that. I'm letting you guys know that you're still free to do stuff. If you feel the need to want to do something, feel free to do something. That's all I'm saying. You'll hear stuff like this.
Hang in there. This will end. We can get through even a winter surge by implementing the countermeasures that we have: vaccinations, boosters, masking in indoor settings, being prudent in caring, for example, about wearing a mask indoors. You can enjoy the holiday season with your family if you're vaccinated and your family members are vaccinated.
If not, stay indoors and hide. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. So the mask thing, which, by the way, I mean, we can do mask work. Of course. The right mask, the right setting, worn properly. So let's go over this. Right mask, right setting, worn properly, fit your face correctly, made all the adjustments. Absolutely, they work. Now, the mask that we wear, you and I, probably not the right mask. We're probably only doing it because a place has asked us to, your work is asking you to. I only wear my mask at work. I don't wear it anywhere else. Everybody in my building, by and large, we're almost 100% vaccinated, if not 100% vaccinated. Half of the people are boosted. But we still put on the hygiene kabuki theater because nobody wears it correctly. It doesn't fit anybody's face. When somebody really wants, and the funny thing is, I don't know if you guys have the same thing. When somebody wants to whisper or talk, they'll pull their mask down and lean in. It's like, okay. This guy, on the other hand, Florida man, if I would have given you one guess, everybody would have done it, right? Man gets thrown off plane for wearing thong underwear to protest mask mandates. And I said, what state does he come from? Any other answer outside of Florida would be foolish.
You can see Jenny's bright red underwear hanging on his face as he gets walked off the plane in the video taken by another passenger. He says he was trying to show why the rule doesn't make sense to him.
There's nothing more absurd than having to wear a mask till I get to cruising altitude so that I can order Tito's by the double and snack on pretzels, and illustrating that absurdity by wearing women's underwear on my face sounds perfect.
I asked the question yesterday. Had he worn a mask and then women's underwear over that, would that have also caused him to be kicked off the federally? I don't think there's a rule for that. Federally, I don't. I'm looking around going, I don't think there's a rule for that. Just to let you know, the CEO of Southwest, of which he was flying on, said, is it yesterday morning or the day before, in Senate hearings, somebody asked him, hey, are we ever going to get masks off on flights? And he's like, masks don't do anything, right? Our filtration system is 99.96% effective. It cycles through every 2 to 3 minutes. There's really no use to wear a mask. But we go through the charade.
Shortly after Jenny left, other passengers started to speak up. This man then chose to leave the flight as well. Jenny says several passengers ended up getting off the plane to support him.
Thank you to them, because they saw something, an injustice, something that didn't make sense, and they stood up.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll say this. If you were to do a test on his underwear that he was wearing on his head, the women's underwear, and a mask, they would probably come out about the same. Compliance, kids.
Afterwards, Jenny received this email from United Airlines saying he's now banned from United flights until his case has been reviewed by the Passenger Incident Review Committee. Jenny says he still feels like he was in the right.
Your rights end where mine begin, and you don't get to tell me how I conduct myself.
Well, they can on their plane. They absolutely can. That's the one thing they can do on the plane. The question isn't whether or not that your rights. The question is it based in actual scientific, real data? And then, people yesterday hitting me up, Chad, you're a buffoon, mask work. And I said to him, no, they don't. Yes, in the right setting, like I said, they absolutely work. You can't deny that. But how many of you are washing your mask once a day, hanging it up, have several masks, changing them out? You've got the N95s. How many of you really, really doing that? I would say at best 10%. At best. Let's be real. But when you've got panic porn like this.
This is Don Lemon tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. Look, I don't blame you if you feel like Scrooge and the Grinch right now. News on the COVID-19 pandemic getting worse by the day as the holiday season hits full effect right now. I almost forgot to take my mask off to start the show. They had to remind me, you have your mask on. Well, as we have seen time and time again, COVID is not done with us. Cases surging, about 120,000 new cases per day. Let me say that again.
Severe illness and death.
A winter of severe illness and death.
But I thought it was supposed to be fixed. We had all the stuff. We got the boosters. We're working on our 58th, 60th, 100th shot. Did you see that guy this week who got 10 shots in one day? People like he's crazy. I said, I don't think he's crazy. I think what he's trying to do is people were paying him to get a shot. So they didn't have to, so they could avoid it. What are his antibodies like? He needs another shot, actually. It didn't work with him.
We have learned nothing in the nearly 2 years that we've been dealing with this pandemic.
We've learned plenty.
Nothing? It was exactly 1 year ago that the first person in the United States, a nurse in New York, received the COVID vaccine outside of a clinical trial. Now, a full year later, 800,000 Americans are dead from COVID. Again, have we learned nothing?
By the way,
still millions of eligible Americans refusing to get vaccinated.
Yeah. Which should be their choice. They're refusing to get vaccinated. That's their choice. If they get sick and die, they've recognized that there's something there. That is a thing that they're willing to do, and they feel fine with it. So shutting everything down, freaking out, losing our mind, having people wear underwear on their head because they think it's something that they're going to, they want to prove a point. All of this stuff is stupid. Have we learned anything? Yes. Panic porn works for you guys, sucks for us. Nobody's listening anymore. We're still worried about the fact that they're going to raise rates 3 times next year because they think they can control it, much like people think they can control this. You think you can control the economy, the hubris and all of this stuff in something that nature, as we say it all the time, will mess you up, whether it's financial nature or mother nature.
Wear a mask indoors. I mean, have we learned nothing? It's the only thing we're going to do to get control of COVID. And remember, we can expect more and possibly more dangerous variants to follow Delta and Omicron, right? Because it's still out there, because people won't get vaccinated. Have we learned nothing? It's just a vicious cycle. Again, have we learned nothing?
Yes. We've learned plenty, you buffoon. He's an idiot. Sorry. Stop with it. Nobody's listening anymore. Their listening is common sense. That should have been. The minute this thing came out, they said, guys, we're going to use some common sense. We're going to come up with a vaccine. It's going to get ugly for a while, and it's going to get bumpy. But once we come up with this vaccine, it's not going to be 100%, but it will keep you safe. At the end of the day, it's about surviving. Can't stop you from getting sick from everything. And if you think that the goal is to get to 0, you're fooling yourself. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. I love this. Elon Musk, he's been fighting with what's her name? Liawatha, the Pretendian, Senator Karen, Elizabeth Warren. She tweeted out the other day, let's change the rig tax code so the person here will actually pay taxes and stop freeloading off everyone else. He tweeted yesterday. Are you ready for this? He tweeted yesterday, he's going to pay $10 billion in taxes, it looks like. He goes, I've paid more taxes than anyone else in history. It's still not enough. My Pillow is enough. Still time to get great deals. This is how you do it. Go to mypillow.com, promo code Benson. When you do, boom, save big right there. Save big. Deep discounts on the MyPillow, mattress topper, Giza Dream Sheets, everything you could think of, and then some. So many discounts. Huge. 60% off, 60% off on some things, including, I think, the MyPillow. It's the lowest price it's ever been. 6-day money-back guarantee, 10-year warranty, the biggest, deepest discounts. The slippers. They've got cardigans. They've got the best sheets around. You name it, they've got it. Get the discounts. Take advantage of it. Zero issues with shipping. No delays. Hurry, though, because you want to make sure you get it there before Christmas. MyPillow.com. Use that promo code Benson to save big. MyPillow.com. Promo code Benson. MyPillow.com. Promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Set Chad straight. Text the show, 323-538-2423. That's 323-538-CHAD. Someone has to do it. Might as well be you. The Chad Benson Show.
Christmas time. Gotta love that. Finishing up. Final show of the year.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire, Jack Frost nipping at your nose.
Not gonna lie to you, I am glad. It's been a year, hasn't it? Feels like we've been in this perpetual nightmare of start-stop, and so many people out there are frustrated, and I hear it every single day, and fighting over stupid masks, and vaccines are evil, and vaccines are anti-Christ, and vaccines are the only thing that'll save us. Put it all aside. Let's take a deep breath. Here's the reality of it. We are in this thing together. We're going to get out of this thing together. At the end of the day, it's what we do. It's human beings. And it has been a trying year at times. And we've got ourselves back on track, and lo and behold, up comes something new. Omicron. Oh my God, what is this? Depends on who you talk to. It's more deadly. It's less deadly. It's mild. Vaccines work, but they don't work. Boosters work, but they're not going to stop it. And you're probably going to get it's. You know what's going to happen? Whatever happens. The inevitability of this thing, that eventually we're going to have to stand up and say, all right, we're going to have to live past this thing, through this thing, around this thing, is real. But we're going to do it in a much better way if we do it together. And that's the reality of this, is we are fighting over stuff that doesn't matter is ridiculous. Our choosing sides on whether or not we, all of us want to be healthy. I've yet to meet somebody who wanted to get this and die. I've yet to meet somebody. They thought their way was the right way. They thought that government was overreaching. And in some cases, they were. And there are people out there that think their way is the only way. It's a vaccine or it's instant death, and that's wrong. I think we look back this year and we get ready to enjoy. Just let's look at all the great things we have. Right? At the end of the day, we live in the greatest country in the entire world. Period. At the greatest time in history, with technological advancements so insane that sometimes we don't even wrap our minds around it. And we'll get through this, and we're going to come out of it on the other side in a better, stronger way. It's that simple. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from all of you. You guys have a blessed holiday. A fantastic start to your year. I want to thank producer Anthony and Phil. You guys have been with me for years, and I am blessed to have you guys, not only as my friends, but working on the show. And I'm blessed to have you guys as listeners. We will do it again next year. Night, Jack.
This is The Chad Benson Show.